Hi everybody, it's Mama Edie again, here to finish up, telling you what you should do after you, or before you get your puppy or dog. You want to make sure to read or listen to my first section to get all of the information, and this is just a continuation of it. I will try and put a spot up here where you can get where you can check out the other one. Okay, so I'm not as smart as some people. I don't know what that's called. Anyway, here we go. The next one is be sure to consider proper nutrition when you're picking out a food for your dog. You know, age makes a difference. Activities. You want to make sure you get protein, fat, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. They're all essential for your dog. So you want to make sure your dog food has that in it. And you'll pay a higher price for it, but in the long run, you'll pay less on vet bills if you get a good, proper dog food for them. And every dog has different grooming needs. And I have 4 different kinds of dogs right now, and I can verify that. But you know, if you got a wrinkly dog, you want to make sure you get in those wrinkles and keep them clean and that kind of stuff. And a fluffy dog, you need to, of course, make sure you keep the tangles out of his hair, brush him quite often, maybe furminate him. You know what a furminator is? I love them, and so do the dogs, I might add. They really get the underneath hair. It's kind of, you don't want to use it too much, but it really helps a lot. Makes them very soft and fluffy too. So you want to, before you buy that dog or get that dog, you want to make sure you know how much time you're going to have to devote just to grooming. And you know, remember, you're going to have to start touching their paws to let them know that you're going to be trimming their nails. Get them used to that little thing that you clip them with. You know, just play around with it so that they get used to that, so that you can be able to trim their nails without them pulling or biting you or whatever. Now, what we do have one that I think the kids might have been pulling on his legs a lot, and he hates his feet to be touched, and he tries to bite us. So we just take his leash and wrap it around his nose. One holds that while the other does the clipping. It doesn't hurt him, and it keeps you from getting bit, so be careful with that. Now, how do you know when your dog's nails need to be trimmed? Well, it's pretty obvious with the nails that are white. You can see how long they are. But with black nails, you want to check and see if they're clacking against the floor or if they're snagging up against carpet. They should be just about ground level when they're walking. They need to, you know, just touch the ground. You don't want them any longer than that. And I don't know if you know this or not, but if you trim them every week just a little bit, they'll go farther and farther back to where they're pretty short. And if you don't, they're going to get really long, and it's hard to get them back to that short length again. It is also recommended that you give your dogs a bath about every 3 months. Now, there's a million different kinds of shampoos out there. Some are for flea and ticks, some are for sensitive skin. You know, there's just all kinds. Pick one that suits you, use it. Little tidbit. I use sometimes Dawn dish soap. But you've got to make sure you get every drop of that out of them. But it does help with the fleas. protects them. For some reason, there's something in there that fleas don't like. So you might want to try that, but like I said, make sure every drop of that soap is out of there. Even with shampoo, you want to do that because, you know, it irritates the skin. It dries out their skin. So make sure you rinse quite a bit. Winter is very tough on their paws. They get into rock salt and ice melters and all that kind of stuff, and it eats sores and infections and blisters into their paws. So there's a couple things you can do. You get little booties, put on their paws, or as soon as you bring them back in, wash their paws. Yeah, I know. But, it's something we need to do. And going back to giving them baths, that you want to make sure you dry the insides of their ears, because if you don't, they can cause ear infections. Now, I had a dog that I got from a family who no longer could keep her, and she had some really bad ear infections. They went to the vet several times, couldn't get it to stop. They sent medicine home with me, didn't help. So, Edie being the person she is, Mama Edie, she went and bought vitamin E oil. Now, I prefer the kind that's not so gluey and stewy and sticky and ooey, but this one is. But you can get this at your department stores, your regular, I don't want to mention names, but your regular store that you go to most of the time. You can get that there. I would put, fill the canal on both sides, and I did that 3 times, 4 times a day, whenever I kind of thought about it. And within a week, her ear infection was gone, and she has not had any since then, I might add. So, just something I've learned throughout the years you might want to try if all else fails. And going back to the paws now, I know I got sidetracked a little bit, but in the summertime, their paws can get very hot on the sidewalks or blacktop, just like our bare feet do. So you might make sure that you have something to cover their paws. Wait until the road's cooler or the sidewalk's cooler, or walk on the grass. Depends on where you live. I understand that. We live in a rural town where we don't have many sidewalks, so they end up walking in the grass. And we have a big backyard where they can run in the backyard without being in concrete. So just be real careful that it's not too hot for their little paws. Now, we've talked about, if you have a fluffy dog, make sure to comb them. Okay, well also, you want to trim the hair around their paws, because it can mat and become very, very, very painful for them. I mean, it's just like putting a rock in with our shoe. So, something you definitely want to consider. If you're beginning a new exercise program and you want your pup to start with you, start him slowly. His paws may be sensitive and initially could become chafed and cracked, especially when it's running and hiking. So be sure to keep an eye on that. Don't want your babies to hurt while they're trying to keep up with you. Have you had a dog and you see those little sleepers or gunk in their eyes? Well, you want to get that out. You can do it with a cotton ball. Just wipe it out, gently swab it with a little dampness. Or I usually take my hands, but then, my dogs are my babies, so. But if it has a discharge constantly, or redness, or constant runny eyes, it may have an infection, so keep an eye on them. it's normal to have the little sleeper-like things in their eyes, but anything else you want to keep an eye on them. And again, your ears you want to keep them clean, because it's an area where parasites and bacteria and yeast can get into. But you don't want to dig anything into the canal of the ears. Just too dangerous. They could move their head a little bit and they have no hearing left or anything. Things that can cause that is just what I just said, or when they're swimming or bathing. So again, just keep their ears dry. Take little cotton swabs and dry them out. And like I said, if you see dirt in there, it looks like it might be getting an infection, use your vitamin E oil. Your dog needs a warm and safe place to sleep. My dogs end up usually sleeping in the bed, but I do have little beds for them. In fact, I got one underneath my desk that, one I'm sleeping on right now. There's one in their little cage where they can go in and be away from the rest of the dogs, and they all do that once in a while. I got one in the bedroom for my older dog. I also have steps up to my bed, and a couple of my dogs sleep with me, and the others choose not to, so they pick their little bed out for the night, and that's where they sleep. So, have a place for them to sleep, nice and warm and cuddly. And something I am absolutely, totally against is do not leave your dog tied out for a long period of time. If you're letting them out just to go potty, that's fine, but not all day long. No. For one thing, another animal could come up and attack them, and them being on a chain, they cannot defend themselves or run away. Get away from that animal. Another dog, a coon, you just never know what could get in your yard and hurt your baby. So, don't leave them outside. Bring them in. Even if it's while you're at work. Put them in a cage, whatever you got to do, but don't leave them outside. And you want to make sure you keep the poison control number around in case of an emergency. If they get a hold of chocolate, especially dark chocolate, get into some insecticides, or you just never know about a dog. They can get into a lot of things. And your pet poison phone number is 888-426-4435. 888-426-4435. Be sure and write that down and have it on your refrigerator or near your phone in case of a poison emergency with your babies. And that is something you just need to have around all the time if you've got a dog or a pet. So a cat too, something I've kind of got a beef about is people taking their dogs when it's a hot day in the car. Don't do it. As much as you love those dogs, don't do it. Leave them at home where it's air conditioned. If you're going to leave your car running with the air conditioner, it's fine. But, you just, cracked windows is just not enough. When it's hot, it's hotter in that car. If it's 90 degrees out on the outside, it's probably 120, 130 degrees in that car, even with the windows cracked. So, too hot. It's going to roast your dog. It's going to kill your dog. Don't do it. Keep them at home. Simple. You want to make sure you got fresh water all the time for your dogs. once a day, rinse out the bowl, wipe it out, get all that bacteria out, and several times a day give them fresh water. It's just like us. They want good, cool, fresh water. I actually filter my water because our water is not the greatest, so I have filter, and I filter my water for my dogs. So, you know, you might want to do that too. I don't know how you want to do your dog, but that's what I do. And if your dog keeps knocking over the water bowl, get a weighted dog bowl. One that's weighted on the bottom. Keep them from flipping it over. And, you know, then that's good for inside the cage or wherever you want it. They won't be able to flip it over. And most of all, before I close this out, something happened in our neighborhood not too long ago, and it was nobody's fault, but it was a warning to people. A little girl, 2-3 years old, was outside playing in her aunt's yard, and they had a larger dog, like a Rottweiler, I believe it was, and the little girl climbed on it and probably was pinching it, you know. Again, no fault of anybody's, but the Rottweiler ended up almost killing the little girl. Please, don't leave children out with large dogs or even small dogs. Keep an eye on the dog and the kid. Dogs have their own personalities, and no matter how much they seem to be so wonderful with kids and everything, you want to keep them away from the child when the child is playing. The child may just pinch a little bit or pull its hair, and the dog's going to be mad. It hurt. So of course the dog's going to be angry. And you just want to be very careful with your children and your dog. It's my understanding they had to put the dog down, and he was a great dog, they said. He'd never done anything like this before. So, you know, in order to keep your dog alive and your children safe, keep them apart when you're not able to watch them. That's all I'm saying. You know, if you're watching them, don't let the child climb on a dog. Dog is not a horse. No matter how big the dog is not a horse, and the child should not be climbing on it. Even if it's cute, no, it's not cute to the dog. And so, just watch what you're doing out there with your dog. And most of all, make sure your new best friend has lots of love. Love them to death with all your heart. And of course, you know, Mama Edie loves her fur babies. Bye bye.